Hi, I'm John McAuliffe, Chief Marketing Officer of VFM Leonardo, and welcome to the VTV channel. VTV is a weekly series of interviews with industry experts on the latest topics in travel e-business, and specifically online merchandising practices that help hoteliers extract more value out of their online presence. As always, we encourage you to email us at vtv@vfmleonardo.com to suggest topics that you would like us to cover in future episodes. Today, I'm joined by Edward Perry. Edward has 20 years of industry experience, 10 of which he has spent at Worldhotels in his most current appointment as Senior Director of E-commerce. He manages strategic alliances in the Americas and Asia between online booking and technology partners at Worldhotels' portfolio of close to 500 properties worldwide. Edward also sits on the board of HEDNA and is co-chair for Online Revealed. Edward, welcome and thank you for joining us on VTV today.
It's a great pleasure to be here, John. Thank you.
Edward, we're going to talk a little bit today about how e-business has changed in recent years and some of the challenges that hoteliers are experiencing, and have a little bit of a discussion about how they can overcome some of those challenges. So maybe we can start off by getting an understanding from you of how you have seen e-business change in recent years for the hotel industry.
Absolutely, John. When we opened our e-commerce department about 5 to 6 years ago, we were just getting started in terms of e-business. And I remember very clearly starting with the couple of major online travel agencies and seeing the growth potential at that time. At that time, I believe the perception amongst many of our hoteliers was that e-commerce was the business that they get on the side. It was sometimes considered the inexpensive business that may not be best to fill the rooms on every night of the week. However, we've seen, fast forward 5, 6 years later, that this perception has changed dramatically. Indeed, e-commerce has encompassed what we are as a hotel industry. It touches every single asset and every single area of our marketing, of our sales, of our business in general.
Certainly 5 years ago, the environment with online channels, whether those were transactional or non-transactional in nature, was much smaller than it is today. A lot of people talk about what they call the long tail of the travel channels online, and it seems to be getting bigger and bigger and having more influence today. What challenges has that brought to the hotelier on the online space?
One of the major challenges that I've witnessed, John, is getting everyone up to speed with the changes that are happening in our industry. This requires fundamental thinking pattern changes in the way we view online business and the interoperability of e-business throughout all our lines of business, such as corporate sales, meetings, groups, weddings, as well as day-to-day leisure travel. We see that we have to keep all of our colleagues up to date on the impact of singular items that we do in the e-commerce space that directly impact whether the customer chooses our hotels or another hotel or brand. So we see education as being one of the major levers in providing the gap between what we knew yesterday and what we need to know tomorrow.
Edward, you talked about a term there, interoperability. Can you help us better understand what you mean by interoperability?
Absolutely. When we first started in the online travel agency space, most of the travel that was being witnessed was leisure travel. And most of the at that time, most of the corporate travel was being managed by corporate travel agents. Now we're finding that everything that we do in the e-commerce space, whether it be the distribution of images, rich media, descriptive content, not only flows to the leisure client, but also to the business client and through corporate travel management companies through their online booking channels. In addition, all of the information that we provide is looked at by travel agents, independent travel agents, corporate meeting planners worldwide. So what we do in the e-commerce space has a direct impact on what happens and how we sell and if we sell to a corporation, to a meeting planner, and to everyone in the world.
Right. So it's interesting because it sounds like the e-business world has moved from a single type of audience or a single segment of travel shopper to a multiplicity of different travel shoppers that are using online channels for researching, comparing, and actually booking online, which I would assume makes it a real challenge for hotels to be able to talk to these different audiences with a single voice or a single presentation, if you will. Is that one of the challenges that you're seeing? And if so, what can hoteliers do to ensure that the presentation or the message that they're saying is more relevant and more tailored to the different types of audiences that they see online?
Well, it goes back to the notion of having a very solid business plan, John. And once a hotel has a solid business plan and understands their demographics, understands their competitors' demographics, then they can start developing content that is geared towards their goals and objectives. That, of course, includes talking the talk of the traveler, knowing the target audience, and putting that type of language into the descriptive content. Understanding the needs and desires of the clients will help them and the photographer that's going through the property to take shots of the property to be able to gear those images to what the consumer is looking for. And likewise, the videos and slideshows and virtual tours that they provide all are reflective of the type of clientele they're trying to attract.
Right. I've heard you say before that one of the key ways for a hotelier to get to overcome one of those challenges is to put themselves in the shoes of the travel shopper for a while. Can you help us better understand how a hotelier can go about doing that?
The thing that I suggest to our colleagues at Worldhotels is to take a step back. Think about the last time you took a vacation, you took a trip on your own dime. What were you looking for when you went to Expedia, Travelocity, Orbitz, Priceline? What were kind of the things that you were looking at? Were you looking at the photos? Were you looking for a video? Were you looking for certain keywords? Were you looking for certain drop-down items that were mandatory for your stay? And then from that information, think about how your core customer would think about your property's listing. Pull up all your listings on all of the major travel sites. Are they reflective of what the consumer will be looking for, or more specifically, what you would be looking for if you were taking that vacation? Put yourself in the client's shoes, and I think a hotel will get a much better conversion.
So it sounds like if I were a hotelier, the first step is to actually get a good understanding of the different segments of customers that I have, and actually almost replicate the travel shopping process with them in order to build my story with written and visual content, and that would be the first step?
Absolutely, John. And then I would also add that review this process every year or 2 years based on your media budget, because customers change, environments change, and you want to keep up with the environment. So it's always good to continuously review this. And
certainly the channels that people change, because new channels are coming on all the time.
New channels as well as new competitors. A new hotel opens up across the street. It may open doors of opportunity, or it may change things a bit.
Edward, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us today on VTB. We appreciate having you on the channel.
My pleasure, John. Thank you.
To all the viewers out there, be sure to post your comments on this episode of VTB and subscribe to our feed to receive more valuable insights from industry experts.